Hello everybody and welcome to the first video of this new series, which is called Horror Reddit Stories or Horror Stories. I know we're gonna think about this. Scary stories, it's something. This video we're gonna start with three horror stories from r/scary stories Reddit, where I found three stories that I think are very interesting for you. I don't know that long. So let's begin with them. This is a new video, this is a new idea for my channel, and I love to do these things before. I would love to read them and watch videos about them, so now I'm going to do this. I got inspiration from some creators, and yeah, like POI, I think his name should be that, Mr. Nightmare, Snook, Ripshy, I think is his name, and Chilling Scaries. So let's begin. The first story is named My Mother's Acting Strange at Night. My name is Talia. True, everyone calls me Lita. Lita. I was born in Kansas, but we lived in a small town in Texas now. Our life is quiet, peaceful, even. At least that was it looks like from the outside. My city has only one rule. I'm never to leave my bedroom at night. Only when there's a clear daylight, real daylight, may I come out. She has bathroom and toilet installed in my room. A small fridge she stocks every day. Shelves of books. The latest video games. She say we're lucky the house belongs to family that only have worry about a few bills. She makes it sound normal. Truthfully loving. Whatever I ask why her face tightens like she holding herself through with strings. I'm not myself at night. She tells me with trembling voice. Nothing is. Then she kneels in front of me and takes my hand like she's afraid I'll disappear. Promise me, Lita. Come back before nightfall. Lock your door. Stayed there until morning. I always not. On my nightstand sits a bundle of rosemary. Mother forbade me from moving it. I never have. I don't want to rebel, not when she lets me do it. Almost anything else. It's just my rule. Really. Go smoothly until tonight. I can't stay up late, curled my bed with snow, playful softly. I tell myself I'll turn it off soon, then I hear something downstairs. A wet sound. I pause the screen, listening. My unpawned soda is cold in my hand. Mother's warming whispers at the back of my mind, but the window is pale blue. Now it's down. I think it's fine. I step to the hallway and I lean over the railing. I see her. My mother is crouched in the dark, shoulders hunched, muttering a language I don't recognize. She's hissing at something on the floor. Her face is mugged with red as she tears into raw meat. The smell hits next. Iron rot. I gasp. Her head snaps up into sharp poop. Who is there? My mother cocks. I run. The soda slips off my hand and clatters across the floor, rolling straight into my doorway. I fumble with the door as heavy footsteps turn behind me. I kick the can aside and slam it shut. Looking, it just is something crashes against the other side. I dive under my bed, choking on sobs. She stalks the hallway and stood in front of my door without sound first. The door knocked rate of violence. Lita, she crowns. I know you're awake. I shove my earbuds in the squeeze my eyes shut, forcing myself to not breathe, not to move. Entry the house goes still. Soon I finally come to my nights golden and warm. The feeling lifts like a storm passing. When I came downstairs, I got my tiny cross and the rosemary bundle so tightly in my hands. Mother, I whispered. She turns, her eyes are normal again, soft, full of love. Lita shivers to me. Are you okay, sweetie? You're frightening me, I say, as my voice was breaking. Her face crumbs. Did I hurt you? No, I whispered. But you won't find threatening. Forgive me, she sobs. Help me protect you from the night. Don't leave your room until clear daylight. Promise me, Lita. I nod yes. I say and mean it. We embarrassed. I wanted to ask my mother more, but I fear she's my own about things that will haunt me forever. The second story is named The Noises from 4B. Started small. Now they're coming for me. I moved to a small apartment unit 3B in an old building. You're in Brooklyn. After losing my job in a city, I had to find a place that was cheap, a place that fit my budget, which was completely empty. This building was just like the ones seen in the old movies. Doors cracked and some smell of moisture. The grease accumulated over the years. In its elevators, were old, screaming and swaying as if they were going to collapse at any moment. I noticed that the neighbors tried to be friendly. On my first day while living I met Miss Evelyn, who lived in the unit across the hall. Evelyn is in her 50s, working long shifts at a nearby supermarket. She said to me with a tight smile edged with wisdom, "Hello, my son. Welcome to your new home." The neighbor is in 4B, Mr. Harrison is a very quiet man. He has lived alone for over 10 years. We only see him when he goes out to buy his food or take care out the trash. He lives completely alone. No visitors, no family, not even friends. Then she let out a light laugh and said that the man was just eccentric, harmless soul. The conviction seemed normal on the surface. On third night, as I laid on the cheap bed I bought from second-hand store trying to sleep after a long, exhausting day, I heard dozens of voices coming from Harrison's apartment, directly next to mine. Muffled laughter and fast overlapping whispers, the sound of a woman crying softly when the sudden choking, and the voice of a man singing an old song in a trembling tone as if he were trying to hide his pain. I jumped off the bed, my heart pounding at high rate. I pressed the room for a few fleeting seconds, then pressed my ear against the cold, warm wall. The sounds were terrifyingly real. Not from television or radio, because they were changing and overlapping, as if the many people were sitting in one room, talking under pressure. In the morning, I asked Evelyn about these sounds. She told me with the same, "Harrison, my dear, leave alone. I know him for many long years. He has no wife and no children." Then she gave an uncertain smile, but I felt that something was completely wrong. And this was the beginning of my end. I continued to hear the sounds of several days. I couldn't sleep more than 2 hours a night, and lack of sleep caused me to lose focus. I tried to convince myself that they were hallucinations due to stress and because I wasn't used to new place. But every night the sounds would return, stronger as it sat alone in the dark. I could hear dozens of souls groaning and pleading inside the apartment of a man who lives alone. According to the neighbors, the day that I followed became unbearable. Every night at exactly 11 o'clock, the sounds would start again, without exception. Sometimes they were sudden, hypothetical laugh, as if people were trying to hide their intense terror. And sometimes muffled screams, as if they were coming from throats gathered with cloth or hands. I once heard the voice of a man with a clear Latino accent saying, "Please, I have family, let me go back home." Then the sounds of repeated hits and punches, and after that a heavy silence that would last for hours. I couldn't explain what happening, and I was too shy to ask Harrison about the sounds. Also, I refused to invade his privacy or enter his apartment. During the day, Harrison would go out like a normal human being. A man in his late 60s, his hair is dark, snowy white, his body was thin and strangely fit. He walked with slow, calculated steps and carried a large shopping bags full of canned food, tins, and water bottles. One day, I stood with him in the elevator. He gave me a cold smile that didn't reach his gray eyes, which were like a piece of ice. He said in a very quiet voice, "The weather is lovely today in Brooklyn." I didn't comment on what he said, but his eyes made a terrified for no apparent reason. I asked the rest of the neighbors one by one. The man from the third floor who works as taxi driver said, "Harrison is completely unknown. I see him return home. I see him return alone every time. From work, at the warehouse, at the manager Mike, the fat man who loves to smoke cheap cigarettes, shrugged his shoulders and said, there are no official complaints. The apartment has been his for years, and his record is clean. If there were wild parties or noises, it would have known and invaded him. But I'm sure that I'm not crazy. I started recording the sounds every night on my phone. One cast of whispers, moaning, and fragments words. In one clear recording, I heard the voice of little girl saying, with trembling voice, "I'm hungry, don't hurt me." Again. Then Mr. Hines, always quiet and cold, as if he were trying about the weather, he said, "If you don't stay quiet, you'll be like the others." I said to go to the police after collecting more than 10 records. The officer shook his head and said, This sounds could be from a movie or our neighbors. The man has a completely clean record, and there is no previous records." I left completely frustrated and returned to the building, thinking about the movie or immediately, but fear and morbid curiosity kept me in apartment. I started watching Harrison from afar, and noticed that every 2 or 3 days he would go out large quantities of medicine and food, ropes, and adhesive tape, and sometimes with heavy backpacks. On rainy, freezing nights, I would decide to follow him instead of entering his apartment. I waited until I saw him going down the elevator around 1 o'clock in the morning. He had a large, heavy backpack with him. He was wearing a black jacket and a hood over his head. I went down after him quietly got to watching him, and I kept safe distance between us in the rain street, so he wouldn't feel or notice that I was watching him. The rainy water was falling on my face, and I was shivering from the cold and terror. I followed him for a long distance until he reached an abandoned industry area. It was close to the waterfront, a place full of old warehouses and a dim lighting. I hid behind a rusty dumpster and saw him meet 2 men in a black van without license plates. They opened the trunk and I saw large plastic bags. They were throwing into the river, bags trained into certain places, with dark red color. Even in the dark, it was clear that it was blood. I heard their whispering conversation. They said, "The new shipment is ready." The ones in the apartment were finished with them today. We moved them before they noticed. One of them let out a loud laugh and he said, "Harrison, you do clean work." Throughout their conversation, I understood the apartment was just a temporary stop in a large network of kidnapping, extortion, and illegal traffic. They bring up people at night, interrogating them or torture them, and then moves them or get rid of them. And the neighbors are out there either afraid or uninterested, or part of the general silence. I'm back to the building, wet and terrified. I called the police from my phone and described everything. They arrived an hour later, and when they searched, they found a completely clean Harrison was sitting there drinking coffee and said calmly, "This neighbor of mine, he imagined things. I live alone just like everyone," they says. The officers suspected me and say that this talking was illegally, and there were no material evidence from that day on. I started noticing small changes in my apartment. Sometimes my belongings would move from their places. Silent phone calls in the middle of the night and the sounds of a light footsteps in the hallway in front of my door. The neighbors started avoiding me. Evelyn didn't respond when I say hello. I became frustrated and felt that police and the neighbors were conflict with Harrison. I said to leave everything as if it is, and now I'm sitting in the dark. The door is locked and weapon is by my side. Harrison will return tonight, and this network is bigger than me and bigger than local police. If anyone is reading this, don't move into a quiet building in Brooklyn. And if you hear some sounds, the neighbor's apartment, don't say anything. It won't be able to escape, and it's coming in the morning. Might not come for me. So this was the second story. And the last story for today's video is called Meg's girlfriend asked me for help. She wanted to ride home, but whatever I let her in my car was not human anymore. Something strange happens that night. When I was driving home, it was the same drive I took every night. I was working late and finally ready to leave. I waved goodbye to my coworker Jeff and said goodnight. My commute was only about a half an hour. Not bad at all, things considered, never much traffic either, just a couple of traffic lights and stand straight down a country road. I was driving out of the parking lot. I got a call. It was from my ex-girlfriend Jessica. It was strange because she hadn't contacted me in almost a year. I was got the call before I made it too far down the road where I lost service. Living out in the country sucks for receptions, and until I get home, I had no service. I pulled over and answered the call. Before I could even say hello, she cut me off, sending a giant cat. Please, you need to help. I can't reach anyone else. I need to pick me up from the Cypress Street bus station as soon as I can get there. I tried to respond, but the line went dead. I called her back, asking what was going on, but she didn't pick up. I was surprised she would be calling me if she needed help, and confused why it was urgent or she was in danger. That he wouldn't call 911. I couldn't risk ignoring it. True, if she was really needing help, I had to do something. I turned around and took a detour down to Cypress Street to try to find her. I got there in good time and started searching for any bus station till I found one. Sure enough, there she was. Jessica was sitting alone at the bus station. She was wearing a large coat but seemingly shivering out in the night. She was still seated and didn't appear in danger. I pulled up in the crowd and by a bus and I called Jess. At first she didn't answer and I was embarrassed. It might have been a mistake, but she suddenly strode towards me and had a strange confused look like she was remembering something. She stood up and slowly walked over my car. I relieved it was her and called out again. What's wrong, Jess? Did you need a lift? I don't know if the red line comes through this light late on Thursday. Are you alright? You sounded really nervous. Either or you couldn't pick up when I called you back. Still confused, and I was worried something was wrong, but suddenly smart if remembering something made her happy and she regarded me. Oh, thank you. I'm not sure how I got there. Please take me home. Without another word, she stuffed over the passenger seat and let herself in. The way she moved seemed irregular. Not quite like she was drunk, but as an odd paint movement like she might be hurt. Yet her expression showed no signs of discomfort at all. The effect was a little jarring, and after she got in the car, I suddenly felt a bit unnerved. Burst off thought, after all, we had dated for 3 years and we knew each other pretty well. I figured maybe she was just having a bad night or perhaps even a bit drunk. True, I didn't smell anything on her. I tried to act casual and smiled. She returned the gesture and strange half smile, half grimace. Where to go? Where to? I asked again. She had to sit there, still smiling faintly and looking at me, or rather staring. She continued for nearby 30 seconds, and it felt like she was starting to hole into me. I cleared my throat and asked again. Jessica, where do you need to go? What? Oh, I called you. I called you? She paused, looking confused, and then continued. Home, take me home. Home with you. I need help. She looked like she was ready to cry, and my sympathy in the moment prevented me from considering how oddly she was acting and strange way she was speaking. I decided I would start heading home, and along the way tried to see what was really going on. We drove for a while and she didn't offer any detail. She didn't talk about anything unless I asked her directly. She just alternated between staring outside or worse. When she thought I wasn't looking at her, she would stare at me. The way she looked at me uncomfortable. We had spent so much time together, but whatever was wrong with her now made me look at if there was alien she was studying. What actually happened tonight, Jess? What's wrong? This strange of you calling me after all this time. I asked her honestly. She looked at me and her head tilted like a bird expecting prey. I was also attacked. Cough. Someone caught me, hurt me. Me, I'll get help tomorrow, but tonight I just need a familiar face. I nodded my head and focused on the road. I missed my turn. I had a bad feeling about taking her my home in the state. Something was off. As we drove on, she seemed to settle in. Her head rolled back, almost like she was nodding off to sleep. I considered that she might have suffered a head injury or something, which would help explain the odd behavior. What if might be good to take her to a hospital just to have a check? She started making odd noises while I thought she was sleeping. Strange hissing sounds which had no intentional. I've never heard someone snore like that before. I turned around and started heading back into town. Either I could take her to the hospital or go back to her own home. She stayed in a straight sleeping trance for a while. A few times I was worried because I couldn't hear her breathing anymore, but she suddenly exploded and made more of those strange sounds. When I got back into town, my reception turned. I have received text, or rather a handful of them. I dropped my phone without wanting to take off the eyes of the road for too long. I was confused when I saw there from Jessica. I thought from him she might be pulling some prank where she pretended to be asleep and then messaged me. I was curious how she could do that, feeling like she was no. I slowed down a little bit and confirmed from an empty road on the road smashed to the water reed made me blood freeze. The first one was shortly. I picked up Jessica up. Where are you? Please, I need help. I can't stay much, and you to think I'm crazy, but I go to the police. I can't go to the police. I just need to get here before it comes back. Something is after me. It looked like a cop earlier. I saw it again and it had hide. It tried to kill me. After it attacked me, it changed. You can believe me. It looks like me. The message changed and it's sorry. I don't know where it went. I don't see you here. Please hurry. I read the final message sent just a few minutes ago. I need to leave. I hope you're okay. I'm sorry. I never should have asked you to come and get me tonight. I was just so scared. It's better if you stay away. It's not safe. Forget I called you. Don't come here. And if you see me waiting, turn away. I know it sounds insane, but it's not really me. I glanced over the woman sleeping next to me. Her head was slumped forward, but her eyes were trembling under her lids like REM sleep. I had no idea what was really happening, but if it wanted to believe Jess when I had to accept that the person sitting next to me was not only really her, but was violent monster. Whatever was happening, I had to get out of my car. I had to get out of my car. I stood at the gas station and she woke up as I was parking. She turned over, cocked her neck in an awkward stretch and horribly painful. She seemed like not because her discomfort and asked, "Are you home? I'm so hungry." I held my nerves and lied. "Yes, we are. I can get something inside. Come on, let go and I can get you a bite to eat." She squints me, and for a second I thought she could see through the ruse, but her head cocked and she gave me an unsettling smile. She slowly opened the car door and stepped out. She waited for me to get out, but I wound across the seat and put the door closed and walked in. The fact of my faith, my fear, this was just some trick and foolish. What I saw next to me was something I can never see. As I reached outside, her face twisted into a nightmarish jumble or different human feature. An unholy noise emerged that sounded like 100 people screaming at once. She pulled hard to the door, the handle broke, and part of the buckle. I was not sure that she wouldn't be able to rip an entire door if she tried hard enough. I put the car in reverse, slammed out the gas, and pulling out there. I managed to turn around the driveway. I looked in my rearview mirror, and my horror, the thing that had once looked like Jessica was right behind me, sprinting at nearby the speed of the car. The thing chased me for several blocks, moving so fast I was afraid she might actually catch up. I finally was her and struggled to calm myself so I wouldn't crash. I was terrified, but I had so many questions. I called Jessica again, but she didn't answer. I was afraid something had happened to her. I even drove back to the bus station, but she said in her message she was gone. I didn't know what to do. I finally drove home after going in a few circles around the town and checking behind me several times, make sure I wasn't followed. I kept trying to reach out to Jessica, But after several days, her voicemail was full, and after a week, I found out she had gone missing. I had horrible feeling that whatever that thing was had caught up with her. I was devastated that she was gone, but also terrified that whatever it was knew who I was now too. I ended up moving away. I couldn't bear the idea of living near where such a thing existed. I couldn't find any information on what it was or how Jessica had found it, but all I knew it was real and it was still out there. After enough time had passed, I felt a bit safer. I thought that it had been enough distance between us. Things would be right. That our chat after a call received last night. Going from a familiar number, it was the old co-worker Jeff. Asked him why he was calling and started laughing. What do you mean? You said you would come over for a party. I saw you last night. You seemed a little drunk, but I figured out you'd remember agreeing to come over and say hi to everyone again. It's been so long. I just wanted to remind you of Biop. I see you there. He said goodbye and I held the phone next to my ear in shock. The call had ended and I was speechless. I sit here now, terrified of what is happening back home. There's only one way they could have seen me there. That thing was back. It's there. It's hunting. I have to call and tell everyone that they haven't believed me. They have to know that if it's need me, it's not really me and it's not safe. This is the last story, and if you want more stories, you can follow me and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.